Let's explore autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 47 of a series. All right, we are in the late 90s with parent-founded autism organizations trying to corral their collective voice and have it represented in legislation. So I'm going to pick back up where we left off under the subhead, we're not sure if it's a real epidemic. All right, in 1999, the idea of an autism epidemic was presented at congressional hearings with testimony given by parents, professionals, alternative medicine practitioners, and celebrities. The true size of the autistic population was unknown, and at that point, only 2 studies on autism prevalence had been conducted in the United States. And that information was from the previous decade and only looked at very specific areas of the country. Studies conducted in Canada, Europe, and Japan did suggest autism prevalence might be 300 to 400% higher than previously estimated. So 2 bills were introduced that year. The first was H.R. 274, the Autism Statistics, Surveillance, Research, and Epidemiology Act of 1999, or ASSURE, ASSURE for short. The second was H.R. 997, the Advancement in Pediatric Autism Research Act. The bills are similar and both included the need to get a more accurate count of the autistic population. And this is a quote. The discovery of effective treatments and a cure for autism will be greatly enhanced when scientists and epidemiologists have an accurate understanding of the prevalence and incidence of autism. The legislation, if enacted, would create up to 5 centers of excellence for autism. These university sites would combine clinical and basic autism research, draw attention of scientists, and exist as a part of a network that enables findings to be rapidly disseminated and replicated. It would also establish at least 3 centers of expertise on autism epidemiology at the CDC. These centers would assist states in creating surveillance programs to track cases of autism and identify trends. Parents and some professionals had a feeling that the incidence of autism was on the rise. I'm going to repeat that. Parents and some professionals had a feeling, in touch with their feels, that the incidence of autism was on the rise. Also, a centralized and open facility for gene and brain banking would be created. Awareness campaigns launched and grant about $40 million a year over a period of 5 years for autism research. I'm sorry, and grant about how much a year? 40 million? It would also bring together resources of the National Institutes for Health, NIH, CDC, and the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to attack the problem of autism. That autumn, 2 celebrities testified to Congress their support of the legislation. The first was actor Anthony Edwards, who had a role on the TV show ER. And this is a quote. "Because of ER, I have experienced something I believe all of you can relate to. Being in a position where hundreds and hundreds of worthy causes attempt to solicit your support. By the way of this testimony, I think it will be clear as to why I have dedicated myself to this issue, autism. I am speaking on behalf of the 400,000 families in the U.S., and in particular for the hundreds of families I have come to know as I have worked with the Cure Autism Now Foundation over the past 2 years. Here are the statistics," he says. "The dry stuff that isn't supposed to make you cry. Autism affects at least 1 in 500 kids. That's more than multiple sclerosis or Down syndrome or cystic fibrosis. That's at least 400,000 people in the United States." So, okay, Edwards here, he used his celebrity status and voice to speak for every autistic in the country, but never once communicated with anyone in the autistic community about his advocacy goals for us. But he's testifying to Congress, y'all. Oh, but he goes on, so let me share that. "Half these kids will never learn to talk. Most will not marry or go to school. They will never live independently. Many will end up in institutions or group homes. We're not sure if there's a real epidemic or if it's better reporting, but we do know that there are so many more families affected by autism than we realized." Sometimes my head just wants to explode after reading quotes like that. Hold on. Ooh, yeah. Alright, so Anthony Edwards wasn't the only one speaking for autistics to Congress. There was another celebrity. Later, actress Renee Russo also testified in support of the bill as well. And she stated, "I learned that 1 in every 500 children have this disease and are diagnosed every year. That 400,000 people in the United States are affected with this disease. And it's more common than multiple sclerosis, Down syndrome, or cystic fibrosis." She says, "We're not sure if it's a real epidemic or better reporting, but we do know that in California, where I am from, the Department of Developmental Services reports a 263% increase in the last 10 years. We found out this week that in Florida, there has been a 500% increase." That's terrifying to me. It's terrifying for the kids that are here and the ones that aren't. Russo testified with great passion and spoke about the founding parents of Cure Autism Now, or CAN. Portia and John explained a little bit of the history of autism. It had been ignored for so long because in the 50s, the medical community thought it was bad parenting, trauma, or neglectful mothers. So obviously, the parents were stigmatized and they never moved forward to organize, and the scientists did no research. A generation of children were lost. All right, I'm going to wrap that up here. Thank you for exploring more autistic history with me. We will pick up in the next video. Legislation without representation.